Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you. Let's continue. I'll spend about 20, 25 minutes just to give you an overview of Telink and the products that we have and what we're doing. And then we'll leave 5 or 10 minutes for questions and answers. So Telink is a high-performance, ultra-low-power wireless connectivity solutions semiconductor vendor. This is our focus. We focus on low-power wireless connectivity, and not just the silicon, but also the SDKs and the software and the tools to support the silicon. The protocols we service today are shown on the right here. So we support all the major protocols that are out there and all around 2.4 gigahertz. We're not doing anything in the 5 gigahertz area or the sub-gigahertz area at this point. This is something we may add in the future, but right now the focus is around our 2.4 gigahertz radio. So we're supporting Bluetooth, and today we support both Bluetooth Classic and BLE with a new family of devices that I'll show to you this morning. We support the Zigbee protocol, we support Thread, we support dot. We are one of the first Chinese vendors to get HomeKit support, and we support proprietary 2.4 gigahertz solutions for the likes of toys, for mice and keyboards, and HID activity as well. We are a member of the board, we're on the board of directors of the Bluetooth SIG, so we're very active in the Bluetooth Special Interest Group. We support and follow the Zigbee Alliance, and from the Zigbee Alliance in 802.15.4, there are things like Thread, and now we have a new protocol called Matter, which is supported by the major ecosystem providers, Apple, Google, and Amazon. And so this will drive a new protocol specifically for home automation going forward from the end of this year and into next year. So we're also supporting what was Chip is now become rebranded as Matter going forward. So that's a new protocol for you to bear in mind and keep an eye on what's happening going forward. And we support the latest standards of these protocols as well. For example, we're not just supporting Bluetooth 4 or 4.1. We support all the Bluetooth 5 versions, 5, 5.1, and 5.2 now with voice and audio over BLE is coming. So this will be supported by the end of this year, the Bluetooth 5.2. We're already Zigbee 3.0 fully certified since January of 2019. I think we had that certification. And we are now demonstrating open thread solutions and open thread going towards Matter. We have some demonstrations coming together for that with lighting. A little bit of history about the company. We were founded in 2010. We're headquartered in Shanghai, and most of our people are based in Shanghai and Shenzhen. We also have a smaller office in Taiwan, and we have other offices around the world, as I'll show you on the next slide. The company was founded by Silicon Valley veterans. So although we're a Chinese company, we're a little bit different in that the founders of the company come from big Silicon Valley companies in the past, in their previous experience. And in fact, the CEO and the CTO still reside in the Bay Area in California, in Silicon Valley, and spend their time between Silicon Valley and Shanghai. In 2012, we introduced the first 802.15.4 Zigbee chip, and this became a mainstay of our product for Zigbee and Zigbee mesh networks. In 2013, we started to support remote control solutions for the TV marketplace, and this is a very big market for us today. We're in with all the major players in the remote controls for TVs, set-top boxes, and in fact retail solutions around the world, and I'll show you some of those in a later slide. Then in 2014, we introduced the first Bluetooth SoC for Telink, and we also got some funding shortly after that from Intel. It's very unusual for a Chinese company to get investment from Intel. And this was for a specific project, and that has now been fully paid out. So Intel is no longer invested, it's all been paid out. It was very successful, and Telink has moved on from strength to strength since then. In 2016, we introduced the first all-in-one IoT connectivity device. By all-in-one, we mean a multi-protocol device that could support Zigbee, BLE, 2.4 gigahertz, all of these protocols in one chip. So this was our first true multi-protocol SoC back in 2016. It was our TLSR 86 series. We've since moved on, 826 series. We've since moved on to 825 and 827. So our numbering is a little bit all over the place, but I'll try and show you some of the rationale behind that going forward as well. We then picked up some major customer names outside of China, like GE Lighting in the US adopted our Telink mesh solution for lighting. So they use our BLE mesh lighting solution. And in fact, now since the Bluetooth SIG has fully ratified Bluetooth mesh in 2017, most vendors who adopted the proprietary mesh solutions before that are moving to the standardized Bluetooth mesh solution going forward. And that's the one we're primarily going to be supporting going forward as well, as well as Zigbee, of course. Zigbee hasn't gone away. There are many vendors, many customers who prefer to use Zigbee for whatever reason. There's a few key differences between Zigbee and Bluetooth mesh. Zigbee is a routed mesh, so it's got a dedicated path through the mesh network, whereas Bluetooth mesh is a flood mesh network. It's simpler. It's also very reliable, but it works on slightly different principles. We then, in 2019, we started to support Bluetooth 5.1. So we added on angle of arrival, angle of departure into our Bluetooth 5.1 SoCs, and this is the 827 series. And then at the end of last year, we introduced our brand new TLSR9 family. This is based on a new RISC-V MCU, 32-bit MCU, and has processing power equivalent to something like an ARM M33 or ARM M4 plus core. I'll show you a little bit more about this. This chip is what we call a combo device. It supports Bluetooth Classic as well as BLE, and we have two splits in this family, one for IoT devices with no Bluetooth Classic and one for audio devices with the Bluetooth Classic. So as I said, our company is primarily located in, headquartered in Shanghai with major offices in Shenzhen and Taipei. The rest of the world team is headquartered out of Santa Clara in Silicon Valley. And myself and three others, we have a small office in London supporting Europe and the Far East, well, not the Far East, the Near East, and the Middle East as well. And we also added a new software development center in Lviv in the Ukraine in the last year. So this will be supporting the new TLSR9 series of audio and IoT devices. Some of the names we're currently supporting, we have a large number of big name customers on our list already, and of course many others. So you can look at some of these as some big ones, obviously in China with Alibaba. Hanshou is big in ESL. We're big with Google on remote controls. Logitech is a big customer of ours on mice. Excuse me. IAM is a big appliance company. And then we have a number of remote control ODMs such as Remote Solutions, Omni, Osung, TWE, Universal Electronics, etc. Like many other companies today, semiconductor vendors, we are fabless. We don't have our own fabs. So we're a fabless semiconductor vendor, and we outsource our fabs. We use SMIC and CSMC primarily at the moment in China and Taiwan, but we are also using and going to be using TSMC more going forward. To be honest, it's quite a good job that we're not heavily involved with TSMC at the moment due to the shortage that they are suffering. They are full, and obviously there's a huge semiconductor shortage in the marketplace. We're not so badly affected by this as many others are today. We have SMIC and CSMC who are servicing us very well, and our lead times on some chips, like the 825 series, where we have very high demand, are getting longer for sure. We have 16 to 20 week lead times on the 825 series, but the 827 series, which is very similar to the 825 and can be substituted in a large number of cases. We have very good lead time still on that. You know, we can still supply product within a month or 2 months for reasonable sized quantities. The rest of our supply chain is fully ISO 9000 certified. So the wafer sort, the assembly, and the final test. Some of the vendor names are shown here on the slide. They are well-known vendors in their respective capabilities, and these are the ones that we are predominantly using. Any customer can audit our supply chain with notice, of course. We don't own these partners, we work with them, and they are all auditable under ISO 9000 requirements. Just to give you an example of our product family, I've just tried to split it up here to show how we divide out the support. So this year we've now added audio. So these are shown on the right-hand side. This is with our new TLSR9 family of devices that we introduced at the beginning of this year. And we're starting to support more software for this family of devices for Bluetooth audio and BLE audio. We actually today support a very low latency proprietary like BLE audio, but the BLE 5.2 is coming later this year once everything is ratified for Bluetooth, the BLE 5.2 audio. So the chip is there and it's ready. We're just waiting for the final software stacks to be ratified by Bluetooth SIG and for 5.2 to be fully available. We are supporting the LC3 codec today, but as I said, we actually have a proprietary 2.4 gig audio solution that's based similarly to BLE, but it's not BLE. It is a proprietary solution that gives a very low latency of certainly less than 20 milliseconds in this space. On the IoT side, on the left-hand side here in dark blue, we are supporting IoT devices for multi-mode devices that support multi-protocols for BLE only, for Zigbee only, and some example devices I've listed below. We have both the TLSR8 series and the TLSR9 series that support the IoT protocols. All of our tools and information can be found on our wiki site at wiki.telinksemi.cn. So here you'll find the quick start guides, you'll find data sheets, application notes, you'll find reference designs for many of the solutions that we have on there. You can click on solution and look at the different solutions and choose a reference design from those from that solution list. We have the hardware development tools, the software development tools, and the SDKs. We have details on the manufacturing and production tools. You need to be able to program multiple devices on the production line. So we have some production line tools to help manufacturing. And then we have some test guides, EMI guides, and programming and debugging. There is no NDA required to access any of this information. Today, not all of the TLSR9 information is there yet. We've just started to put basic information on the wiki site on the TLSR9 family. So this is still fairly new. If you need data sheets or anything else on TLSR9, please contact our partners or ourselves using the contact support site on the website. So our solutions today, we actually have two similar architectures. So the architecture is shown on the right here, and we use two different processors for this. For the current generation that we've been providing until the end of last year was based on a 32-bit proprietary CPU that was similar to a Cortex M0. It uses the same Eclipse development tools, except for the programming tool, because the chip is not an ARM core. We don't license ARM cores. It's our own core developed by Telink. Then we have our own programming tool for that. So you can use the ARM Eclipse development tools, but you cannot use the ARM programmer, of course, because it's not an ARM core in there. So you need to use the Telink programming and debugging tool, but you can use the Eclipse development tools in the IDE environment. So that's the TLSR8 series based around a proprietary 32-bit CPU. The new device we introduced at the end of last year to support classic Bluetooth as well as BLE and the other protocols is a TLSR9 series, and this is based on a RISC-V processor. So this has the benchmarks that are better than a Cortex M4 device. And in fact, there are 4 pipelines within this architecture as well. So it can do things quite a lot better than a Cortex M4 in many cases. And the RISC-V, of course, is an open source consortium supported by many other semiconductor vendors, including big names like NXP, Qualcomm, and many others that are supporting. There's more than 200 vendors supporting the RISC-V consortium. And we are also one of those. So we're going RISC-V from now going forward. And this is all open source, which means there'll be lots more development tools also available for the RISC-V core. So the SoC itself, as you can imagine, everything is on one chip. We have power management, we have fast and slow clocks for sleep mode. We have memory on board, we have SRAM, typically up to about 64K of RAM on board. And then we also support various sizes of flash in the devices from 128K, 256K, 512K, 1 meg, and going up, ultimately, we will go up to 4 meg for the TLSR9 series. Right now, we're supporting up to 1 megabyte of flash in our devices currently, but we will be qualifying further flash solutions going up to 4 meg as we move on in the audio space. We have advanced power management, which can enable long battery life for things like remote controls, anything that needs to be for medical, healthcare things, and dosage metering. We can prolong the battery life by putting it into a very low power dormant mode for a long time until the device is activated, and then that will give years of battery life. We have a very small die size. One of the things we don't do in our devices is we don't put the flash memory onto the silicon itself. We actually use a stacked flash. This means we can vary the size of the flash to suit the application. It also means we can get a much smaller overall die size and package size, and therefore keep the costs down. So we can very much control our costs in this way and keep our main die size very, very small. So we have a rich set of IOs and interfaces as well. So the large number of GPIO. We typically support 24, 32, and 48 pin QFN packages for our IoT devices. And for the new audio series, we'll be going above that up to 100 pin plus QFNs. Depending upon what IO you need, you can choose the package size you require. So we have variable GPIO, I2C, SPI, SPI slave, USB, UART, SWIRE for programming and debug, PWMs, typically about 6 PWMs, and JTAG support. On the audio side, obviously we have full audio support on the TLSR9 series, and we are working with partners on DSP as well, which will be embedded into the device. We're also developing some of our own DSP capability for keyword wake up, etc., and DSP signal processing on board. But primarily for the audio, we'll be working with partners on the DSP side who are much more advanced in this position than we are. We work with companies like Synaptics, ADI, DSPG. So we have a number of partners in this space for audio DSP processing. And on the standard TLSR8 series, we just support the standard Bluetooth audio that you need on a remote control for voice commands, etc. So we have dual digital mic and dual analog mic support on most of our devices, in fact. From a software point of view, we also support a large number of stacks. All the software we do is homegrown. In other words, we develop it all ourselves. We don't license software or stacks from anybody. All of our stacks are developed in-house by Telink and maintained by us, which means we can actually control and open up the stacks at different layers to support different requirements. We won't do that for any specific customer request unless there's very big volume there. You know, to go in and start messing around with the stack, we're talking about you're talking about interfering with qualifications and certifications, etc. So we don't want to do that unless absolutely necessary. But these are things we can do to customize a solution for high volume applications. Then we support typically our stacks on the wiki site. You will find support for Bluetooth and BLE 5.2. Not quite there yet on the LE 5.2. It's coming at the end of this year. You will find stacks for Bluetooth mesh. You will find stacks for wearables, for low power wearables. You will also find stacks, for example, that can support Bluetooth and Zigbee together. When I say together, that's not running both Zigbee mesh and Bluetooth mesh together. Something like that is not what you want to be doing. But for example, you could be controlling a Zigbee mesh network with a Bluetooth low energy app on a smartphone. So one device is basically has an interface to the Bluetooth smartphone app, and then it's controlling a Zigbee network, and it's a member of the Zigbee network itself. So this is how we can combine the likes of Zigbee with a controlling device that has only has Bluetooth or BLE on it. And then we have a full stack certified support for Zigbee 3.0, for RF for CE, for remote controls. We have Apple HomeKit support for our devices, and we are, as I said, we were the first Chinese vendor to get HomeKit support from Apple on our device. And now we are supporting OpenThread and the new protocol, which has been rebranded as Matter. It was formerly known as CHIP, Connected Home over IP. And we support proprietary 2.4 gigahertz solutions as well for electronic shelf labels, for mice and keyboards. This is typically done in a proprietary protocol. So altogether, we provide pretty much everything you need to get going in the IoT space, and now moving into the audio space. So we have a very low BOM around the SoC. There's only a handful of passive components required. The antenna balun is all in the chip, so there's nothing external required there. You just literally need a crystal, an inductor, a couple of capacitors and resistors, and that is all the external components around the device. We have various low power options, going from full sleep mode to semi-awake mode to dormant mode, to when the RAM is awake and active to fully active. We support multi-protocols, as you've seen, and interoperability between those protocols. We can support the full stacks, and we have application solutions and reference designs available for many different solutions on the wiki site there. And we also work with a number of partners out there working with us in Russia, in Eastern Europe, in the US, in China. We have different design houses for different applications that we work with as well. So we typically got most of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle in place to get your product up and running fairly quickly. We also supply a large number of EVKs and application boards. So this is just a typical example of the generic starter kit that we support. This is, I think it's an 8258 starter kit. So you get a board with a multi-protocol device on it. And then you can, from the SDK and the burning tools, you can select the actual target device you want to go down to. If you don't want to use a more expensive multi-protocol device, you develop using this board, and then you target your application down to the Bluetooth only chip, for example, the 8251 or the 8271. And you can program that with this little programmer here shown in the black box is our programming device. These are available at very low cost. They're about $10 each plus shipping. And these you connect with 3 wires. Typically, there's a 3-wire interface for this. You need the S-wire interface to the board. Obviously, the chip needs to be loaded before you can use the programmer. So because it's working, if you're trying to do USB, for example, you can't use the USB before you've loaded it from the S-Wire interface. That's a common mistake that many people make, because the chip controls the USB here. You can't just plug this thing into USB and expect the USB port to work. You need to load it first of all with the S-Wire and this programming tool. There are many other boards that we have for positioning, for angle of arrival, angle of departure. We have a kit for that. We have a kit for remote controls and voice command. So we've got a number of different kits available, and there'll be more. There's a new kit now for the TLS-R9 series as well for the audio family. And all of these, except the TLS-R9 family, which is brand new, are available through Mouser Electronics on the Mouser website worldwide, and via our local Telink partners can also support you with these kits. They're fairly low cost. We don't make money on these kits. We sell them at cost. So, for example, the generic starter kit is just around $35 US, and the programmers are around $10 each. So it's fairly low level, low cost, to get a low cost of entry to using the Telink devices. Okay, that's the basic overview presentation. I'm just going to highlight a couple of key areas of things that we've done in the application space. So we have applications that support retail logistics, that support smart home, healthcare, personal wearable audio devices, etc. I just want to show you a few examples of some of the things and some of the customers that we're working with. So in mesh, in lighting, we're already working with a large number of partners. We're working with GE Lighting, with Eglo AWOX in Europe, with Alibaba in China, with Xiaomi, with Yilight, Tospo, Opel. These are a number of major names in the lighting business. And obviously, we're talking to more of the big names in the European market as well, but we're not actually on their lines just yet. Hopefully we will be in the near future. We also developed the light stick for the Korean boy band BTS. So their light stick that they sell to all of their fans is based on a Telink 826 series device, which is actually a Zigbee mesh device that's customized, and it has Bluetooth onboarding. So it actually uses, you onboard the device using your smartphone to your ticket. So the device then knows your seat number, and then it's part of the Zigbee mesh, and the Zigbee mesh knows exactly where that light is located in the arena. So you can make light patterns and send messages out across the audience with the light sticks. And this works very effectively up to, we've had 50, 60,000 devices in some of the big stadiums around Korea with this light stick. I'm not going to run that right now, but that video is on YouTube, by the way. If you want to take a look at it, just Google BTS light stick, you'll find that video there. Talking of Google, in the remote controls market, we've done a reference design with Google and Osung. So they've got these two new Google TV reference design platforms, one for the TV set-top box and one for their own dongle. And for retail applications in the US, Walmart is selling a plug-in stick like very similar to the Amazon Fire Stick that's Google-based, together with this remote control that is Telink-based. And we also work with most of these remote control guys around the world. So remote controls is very big for us at Telink, as is mesh lighting. We're just getting into this space now, which is new for 2021 and 2022. So we're going to be supporting TWS, wireless speakers. We are already supporting 2.4 gig proprietary audio and Bluetooth classic audio. Bluetooth LE 5.2 is coming at the end of this year once it's fully ratified and certified. And then we'll be supporting some extra features on top of this, including audio sharing, broadcast audio once the 5.2 is fully there, ultra low latency for gaming and headset applications, And then with our partners, well, we were supporting echo cancellation today and noise cancellation, but ANC, adaptive noise cancellation, is something that will come through our partners and later on with the next generation of the audio devices. Similar thing on wearables. We have a number of solutions we've done for wearables, for watches, bracelets, also on the medical side for Bluetooth glucose, blood glucose monitoring and metering. Pillbox to remind you that to take a pill or to monitor that the pill has been taken for elderly people. Other healthcare devices that we're able to support with simple BLE. Here, low battery current, we have a special device called the 8298, which runs down to 1.5 volts and has very good power characteristics to enable the battery to last for a long period of time, for multiple years. We also have the ESL. We're big in ESL in China. Hanshou is a big ESL tag. This is electronic shelf tags for supermarkets, etc., with e-ink tags. We also work with energy harvesting providers like Nowi from the Netherlands for energy harvesting from the LEDs in the shop or the store, and converting that energy to charge a small battery on the device. So you never need to replace batteries or recharge batteries. It's done automatically. Okay, I'm going to stop there. There's beacons, there's logistics management, there's HID solutions. We offer all of these. I think my time is up already, so I won't go any further, but this presentation will be available to you after this webinar.